Okay, so thanks everyone for coming tonight to this milk and honey tasting. We've got Shilton on the line, who's going to introduce himself in a second. Just to let you know, we are recording for anyone who is late or can't make it immediately. And we have got 8 drams tonight, so obviously drink them all at your own risk and take your own pace and all that sort of stuff. Sometimes it's nice to come back to them, but I can't say that I ever do. I tend to just drink them all. So there you go. Have
Numbers
fun.
7 and 8 might be a blur.
So Shilton, I'll just bring you in, and then if you don't mind putting the order in the chat when you've got a minute, everyone can get them into a row then.
Sure. Do you want me to put the order in now in the chat?
Yeah, you can do, just in case anyone wants to pour while you're doing your intro.
Cool. Just type it in.
So while Shilton's typing, how many people have tried milk and honey before?
Never. First time for me.
First time for me.
Yeah, I was on another milk and honey tasting, but when I saw the ones that were being included on this that I hadn't tried, I thought I'd got to get on it.
Yeah,
Cool.
Shilton's definitely come
Did
through with the lineup.
you get the lineup there? The numbers? It's a bit of a mix, but just to make some have some fun with it. That's the whole idea.
Perfect. Thank you. And take it away.
Right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good to see you all. I'm Shilton Almeida. I work for Milk and Honey. I've just started off with Milk and Honey, I will say, in January. After working for 10 years with another brand, Indian whiskey. I'm sure you guys know about this. And here I am, starting off with Milk and Honey. So I have basically just gone from hot to hotter climates. A little bit about me, about the background. I started off, I came across, got into the industry, I will say, in 2006, when I moved to Qatar in the Middle East, and I was working at the duty-free airport for 5 years, selling whiskeys. And you've been selling the most expensive whiskeys over there, but you cannot try any because you're not allowed to. It's a sad part of the job. But it's good in a way because you do, and you try, when you read about it, you try to find more about it by yourself, just a curiosity, and then just see. I've never been to a distillery when I was at working for 5 years. I moved back to India in 2012, and I joined Paul John, and I was working with them in Goa market. And in 2015, I moved to the UK. Today, I look up to the European markets for the brand. So yeah, sometimes wear a brand ambassador hat, sometimes a sales hat. It depends. I live in a suitcase from now till December, I will say. That's a bit about me. I'm sure you guys, I just saw you guys, some of you have tried milk and honey before. So the background, the history about it, I mean, you can pour the new make in your glasses if you want to just start nosing it. It's a new make. You just to see and understand the distillery in the meantime. So the whole idea came up in 2012 when Gal, who is the CEO today, and other friends, they went out and came up with this idea of saying, why don't we start a whiskey bar in Tel Aviv? So the idea came up with a whiskey bar, but then when you sit down with it, they said, you know what, let's start with a distillery instead of a whiskey bar. And that's how the idea came up. 2013, after all the research we are the first distillery from Israel. So there wasn't a distillery, so we wouldn't know how it will be. So 2013, we got Dr. Jim Son, late Dr. Jim Son, as an advisor, and he was also the distiller later. The distillery was set up in 2014, and we started distilling in 2015. We launched the whiskeys, the whiskey. Before that, we had a young single malt in the market for people to try, to understand. But the whiskey was launched in 2020 January. We have a wrong timing to launch a whiskey. We launched it in 2020 January and the world shut down. That's it. So no one knows. Only way to spread the word was by Zoom. It's not the same, right? It's not, there's no whiskey festival or in-person tasting. So it was a tough one. We opened a few markets and we got out in the market. And we are here today where you can meet people and let people try. It's been done in a very traditional way, nothing different. We do not get the barley for us locally. We have tried saying that. We have also tried with some local barley, but we are not happy with the quality that we have right now. So we are working with the local farmers to see in the future. At the moment, we source the barley from the UK. The barley goes from here, from the UK, and the rest, everything happens at the distillery itself. So it's been distilled, matured, bottled at the distillery in Tel Aviv. It's just a 10 minutes walk from the sea in Tel Aviv. Anyone been to Israel? Anyone been to Tel Aviv? So the distillery is only about 10 minutes walk from the sea. Depends on how fast you walk and how much you had already for that walk. But it's right next to the funny part is that it's just across the road from the football stadium as well. I always say, why don't you just have a pipeline inside the stadium for people to have something in the stadium when they're watching the game? I will love that. But yeah, that is where we are. We do it very traditionally. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been to a distillery and seen the stills. So I will just pick up a few differences that we have. Our stills, when we got the stills, our wash still was actually bought online on a second hand. There were second-hand stills that we got. They were lying in Romania. So when we saw it, we're like, okay, this will work very well for us. Till today, we have no idea why it was made and for whom it was made. But the shape was perfect. Everything was fine. We said, okay, let's buy this. So we got the second-hand still. We're still using that one. It's a 9,000 liter still. The biggest difference for us is if you look at the line arm for us, the line arm goes 45 degrees down, at a 45 degrees down angle. The reason for that is our cut is 80% to 70%. We try to avoid the faints. We don't get any faints because we know that the whiskey will not be maturing for a long time because of the hot climate. And that means there won't be enough time for oxidation in the cask. So that means we have to avoid the faints, but we get a line arm down so that we avoid the reflux and we get more oils coming in straight away. So that is one of the reasons. So if you look at the new make spirit that you have in your glass, if you try to get a lot of pastry notes, it's very oily. This one is at 50% ABV, I think, if I'm not wrong, if you got the right bottle. It's at 50% ABV. Well, it's watered down. The new make we get is at 73% ABV, and then we watered it down to 63.5 and we fill the cask. Again, we all know about the maturation. I hate using the word as faster maturation. It sounds so wrong when you say it matures faster or matures quicker. The extraction rate from the wood is a lot higher. It's 3 to 4 times higher. Higher than Scotland, when I say higher. We have, in Tel Aviv, where the distillery is, we have an angel share of 11 to 12% per year. So this year will be a little higher because I was there in February, so I'll take my cut out of it as well. Otherwise, I will say it's 11 to 12% angel share in Tel Aviv. We'll talk about the other locations that we do and the fun that we do, and as we go through the whiskeys. But that's a new make. We distill about 230,000 liters a year, 700 liters per day. 9,000 liters and 3,500 liters still sizes. So yeah, we are craft, we are innovative, and we are a small distillery. We're not a huge distillery. But what do you think about the new make? It's good. It's drinkable. It's drinkable. That's more important. It's at 50% ABV, but you get that oiliness, and it's quite oily. You get a lot of pastry notes, kind of sweeter. But getting the new make in the lineup makes sense because you can understand the signature, the DNA of the distillery straight away from that.
I don't have the ideal glass, but I think it's really fruity as well.
Yeah. It's very fruity, and at the same time it's very oily, right? It's kind of sticky. You can drink it. It's not 50% ABV. It's not harsh on the palate. The name Milk and Honey. Do anyone know why is it called as Milk and Honey?
The land of milk and honey.
The land of milk and honey. It does not taste like milk and honey, by the way. Just let me correct this. I was doing a show in the UK itself when someone came to me and said, "Why is it called as Milk and Honey?" So I told them why it is called as Milk and Honey. He said, "But why do you promote it as Milk and Honey if it does not taste like milk and honey?" So this was going on once, twice, three times. I was just trying to explain, dude, you need to understand it's the name of the brand. We call it as Milk and Honey because it's come from the land of milk and honey. And he was not getting it. He was still on the same argument. So at some point when you want to stop it, I just said, "Have you tried monkey shoulder?" Well, what do you think about that? You have to, once you get some people at the shows and they had a couple, you had to do it. Oh, well, that's, this is the new make for us. If we are good, any questions, anything you want to know?
Yeah, am I right in thinking that that the brand uses M&H a bit more rather than milk and honey to try and get away from people being stupid and not realizing it's whiskey?
Exactly, and at the same time, we use M&H, and we try to focus more on Tel Aviv because Tel Aviv, it's still it's very different, and one of the things I always say, you can mix whatever you want to in a whiskey. You can add water, ice, or whatever. It's your whiskey, right? It's a very open thing. It's your whiskey. The only two things I always say should not add to your whiskey is religion and politics. So, and that's why we say M&H and from Tel Aviv, and we talk about the whiskey. So yes, we do that, but the meaning of that is milk and honey because of the land of milk and honey.
Yeah, I remember on a previous tasting they were saying that there's almost no domestic whiskey market in Israel.
No, it's not. Again, it's a very hot country. It's a very hot country, and it's mainly, even if there is, it could be more highballs. There is, of course, a small community, people who know their whiskeys and stuff. But it's, if you look at getting into a bar, you'll see the blends, of course, on the shelf. You'll find your Johnny Walkers, Jamesons on the shelf, but it's more about drinking like a highball or with a mixer.
Yeah, this is a really nice new make.
Mm-hmm.
Shilton, can I just ask a quick question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's coming off the still between 70 and 80%. That's what you said, isn't it? Has that always been the case?
Yeah, it's somewhere around 71 and 73, 74-ish, always.
Okay. Are don't have to finish the new make.
Are this the sizes of the samples that everyone received? It's a lot of whiskey, and we have 8 whiskeys today. Okay.
I was going to say, you got a good deal. You got a full bottle. Mine came in half.
Yeah, no. I've got the regular size. I've got 2 samples only, which I did not have. So yeah, that is the next one is the classic. It's as number 2 on your number. There's 2, I think, so on your samples. Classic is our entry-level whiskey, I will say, or our first expression, and the name, as the name says, it's just a classic. 46% ABV, non-chill filtered, no flavors, no colors added to that. Oh, I'll pour myself one as well. That's the classic. Again, this will be, sorry, go on.
Sorry, is this at 46? Is that what
it's
you
at 46? Yeah. It's that's our Tomer, our distiller, calls this whiskey as a table whiskey, because you can have it on the table and everybody likes it. It's a whiskey for everyone, for every palate. If you like a sherry, if you like a peated, it's a good start over here. It's a very easy drinking whiskey as well, and I call it table whiskey because when you keep it on the table with friends, it just goes up like that. So it's a table whiskey as well, but it's a different meaning for me. 3 different cask types. This is about 75% of ex-bourbon cask, 3 years old. All whiskeys today are 3 years old, by the way. 75% ex-bourbon, 20% of STR, shaved toast rechar, and a small amount of virgin oak in this one. So you have we use in our inventory, we have about 80%, 75 to 80% of ex-bourbon cask maturing. We have about 3,500 cask being matured at the moment right now. Out of that, 80% is ex-bourbon. We use STR a lot, of course, because that was brought in by Dr. Jim. I'm sure we all know Dr. Jim's one, or yeah, cool. Kavalan, Kiloman, Cotswold, Penderyn. So we all know these distilleries and his idea behind. That's why we use STR cask in our recipe, and virgin oak as well, a tiny bit. So you can get this wood spices coming in. I think with an ex-bourbon and STR, I've been a big fan of ex-bourbon. From my start. But until I tried the STR cask, you have one of them today as well to try, and you'll understand why I'm saying this. But I'm a big fan of STR cask now. It's they are big. You get this fruity notes at the same time, some wood spice coming as well. All 3 years old. Yeah, I need to keep an eye on the chat. Sorry if I missed some questions here. All 3 years old. Yes. Well, we are new at the same time, Frank. So we are looking for going ahead. I will say, in my experience, I will say 5 and 6 will be a number. 5 and 6 years old. More than that, again, you lose a lot. At the same time, the wood will start dominating it, and the wood will take over on the flavors, so it will get more oaky and more woody. Don't get me wrong, there are people who like that style of whiskey, but for us in 5-6 years time, if you want to, we would like to keep it that way, which is our style of it, like fruity, easy sipping whiskeys for everyone in the palate. And we will have maybe a limited edition or something to see where we are going. But 5 and 6 will be a good number. You can still see the DNA. It's a good thing because you tried the new make today as well. So you can see the DNA in this one from the new make. Do you guys get it as well?
I thought for a new make, it was very clean, very crisp. Actually, it was almost. How many times do you distill your spirit?
Sorry?
How many times do you distill?
Double distillation.
Double
yeah,
distillation.
Just 2 stills. Yeah, one set. We have one set. Yeah, yeah. That's why it's very easy as well. Drinking for that new make, and that's why we even bottle it. So we bottle it 50%. You can buy it from the shelf. You can use it for maybe for cocktails or something. So it's always there. Not something you want to drink with a glass and just sit down. I wouldn't do that, but you can always use it for as a mixer.
So now that I had the number 2, I get the more herbal notes in the new make, actually.
Going back to the new make, yeah?
Yeah. It actually tastes a bit older, I think, than 3 years. Still young, but
yeah, it's not. Well, you can see that it is young. It has got the spirity, but for a 3 years old, it will have been more spirity. But I think because we're using 3 different wood types, as a recipe to put different components together, it will change it. It will give you a different flavor profile. If it was only ex-bourbon cask, then maybe it will have been different. But getting a bit of STR, a bit of virgin oak will give you that profile in the liquid, which we wanted to. Well, I get the sweetness coming in a lot, coming as a vanilla and ex-bourbon cask, but that bit of backed, I will say the right way of putting it's been backed with the wood spices as well. But it's not overpowering, so it's a good balance.
We're on dram number 2, Ewan.
Thanks, Tom.
I think for entry level as a first whiskey, it's a good start in the range. If someone had to say, I mean, we have 4 whiskeys in the core range. The elements, I mean, the classic and 3 elements. We have one of that element today, but they're all together 4 whiskeys, and the whole idea is you have the classic as a standard whiskey, and then you have these 3 different elements for different palates, like a sherry, red wine, or peated. Just because everyone has got their own preferences. Some people say, I like a sherry, so I will say, try this sherry. Or I like peated, try this peated. Not being a big sherry bomb or not very peaty, but to get people into the range and introducing. If I had to just pick one whiskey, saying, Shilton, can you just pour me one whiskey in milk and honey to understand what you guys are? I will always pour the classic. Classic will be to my some. Of course, you have the limited editions, small batches, but classic will be the standard whiskey to show.
And I like it that it doesn't taste like Scotch. It's definitely something different.
Something different, and I think it's also the way you do it as well. Yes, I mean, we get ex-bourbon cask, but we have the STR cask as well, and it's also maintaining the it's not finished in a STR cask, or it's not finished in a sherry cask or any different type. You just get this 3 different types. I was in one of the tastings with Kingsman, and Kingsman also do it in a similar way as a recipe. I think even Cots will do the same as well, like some portion of that, some ex-bourbon, some STR, put it together, and then you get this style of whiskey. So you can play around of what you want. Do you want more of the vanilla or more of the ex-bourbon to take over, or more STR? So, well, it's always a balance. Is that good? Good start? Right. If we're good to move on, you want to the next one? Or do you guys prefer to finish up the whiskey and then go to the next one? I don't know how much you guys are pouring in your glasses. Or how many glasses you have?
But I'm happy to move on before I finised it.
I can't finish it completely, then I will be drunk after the third.
Yeah,
so.
give me something to go back to.
Yeah, that's I will do that. That's how I will do that as well. Just go back to the samples, leave some to go back. If you're good, we'll try the next one, which is number 5 on your list.
I'm right in thinking that milk and honey follow the SWA rules for 3 years old and what it must be aged in and etc. So
yeah, we do follow it. We do follow this because, of course, if the whole idea about this, Toby, is that we're not trying to say that we are something better, right? Or we make it better. The whole idea is if we had to make a whiskey in Israel, in Tel Aviv, how will that be, with the climate? And we have the climate. I know it is hot, but we have the different climate zones that we have, which I'm going to talk in some time, for our advantage. So we make good use of the different climate zones and try whiskey in a different climate zones as well. We do follow it, and the whole idea is that if you do a whiskey following the same rules like any other whiskey in Scotland, this is what we will get. That's the message out. And
I suppose it's like the industry standard for single malts, so everybody would like to follow the same standard if they can.
Yeah, well, you can always get a whiskey from somewhere from India, and you can say it's an Indian whiskey, right? It's okay. You can name it as a spirit or something, and you can always sell it in the market. But the whole idea is to make the whiskey in the same traditional way, and say this is what will happen, or this is what you get if you do the whiskey. in India. And yeah, so you get this different. I'm originally from Goa, right? And there are in India, there are so many distillers, whiskey brands in India. There's so many whiskey being distilled. None of them come over here. That country consumes about 1 billion liters a year. 1 billion liters a year. And well, it's a 1+ billion people as well, anyways. But yeah.
So just a question. So at M&H, you would be using only oak casks, right? No other wood like I don't know, cherry or
no. We use
acacia
American oak.
or something.
We use American oak. There are some European oak as well, but mainly oak. Yes, only. Yeah.
Shilton, what's the water source? Is it just local?
Yeah, it's local water sources from. But the water over there for us, Nick, is very hard. So we have to demineralize it. So it's a very hard water. It's not the water that we get here, not at least here in Scotland. But yeah, it's a very hard water. So you demineralize it to use it. We do it at the distillery itself. Right. So element sherry. Element sherry, as I said, there are 3 elements that we have. I don't know if you can see this one here. I'll get this one here. The one you have is a sherry. Then you have elements red wine cask, and then we have elements peated as well. Element sherry is again at 46% ABV. It's again at 46% ABV. It's a code range as well. It's something you can find easily. What we do here is this is again interesting because we have different components being added. We keep the classic as the base. So what you tried the classic is the base. This will be about 40% or 50% of the classic. I'm using the word classic just so that just to make it easy to understand, but it's that recipe, right? So 50% of that will be ex-bourbon and STR. So we keep that recipe, and the remaining 50% is a fully matured in sherry cask. 2 different types of sherry, Oloroso and PX cask. Now, very difficult to make, not easy, because there is no kosher sherry. We are kosher certified, and there's no kosher sherry. So we work with a bodega in Spain where the wine is been actually made for us, seasoned for 1 year, and then we get the cask. Well, what happens to the wine? It's all gone to the sink, and that's not only for us, I will say, but that's a thing with most of the distilleries today. The sherry that has been used, the sherry cask, most of the sherry is all gone out to the sink. It's all seasoned cask, which is bad. I just want to know where that sink is, by the way. Well, I love a good sherry. So that is how this one is made. So the whole idea is that it's not big sherry bomb. It's more like an easy sipping sherry. Again, remember how when I said it's more about introducing. If someone says to me saying I have not tried a sherry cask matured whiskey, this is the style you should be trying first, and then move on to your sherry bombs or your Glendronach or Glenfarclas, whatever you want to try. Like if you like that style, but this will make you understand what a sherry cask will influence on a whiskey. Yeah, we are kosher certified. It's not that we have to because it's come from Israel, but it is an added value to us because of the market. There will be market which will say, is it kosher certified? Or we as a local market, first of all, which is not big anyways, but it is there. We have to source. We have the red wine cask that we use as well. Again, working with the local wineries. So the sherry cask comes from Spain, where it's been monitored by a rabbi and certified, and then comes to us. To get most of the time it's one of the favorites in the core range when you do a tasting, but you get a lot of dried fruits, some sweetness coming here, some chocolatey sweetness, dark chocolatey for me.
There's a bit of menthol on the taste for me, Shilton. I'm getting just like quite a cooling menthol edge to it as well. I don't know if anybody else is getting that.
Me too, and a lot of meaty kind of flavors, umami, and maybe some fresh figs, but not so much these classic sherry aromas. Maybe it's the glass. I don't know.
A pint glass there.
Yes, it's a pint glass, a small pint glass.
It's a mega pint of whiskey.
Yeah.
You can't get through billions of litres using a Glencairn, Omar.
Exactly, Tom. That's what I'm talking about. You understand me.
I think I get more raisiny sweetness. I will say, if I had to pick one, what style of it, it's more. I mean, we have got something to do with the rum later on as well, one of them. So it's more like a rummy, a spice, and or raisiny, like almost you get just rum soaked raisins, the raisin soaked in a rum to make your cake. That's kind of a.
Yeah, for me, this is a little more jammy, sort of, when you have like a raspberry jam or something like that.
Yeah.
The sort of fruitiness that leaves after you've eaten that. That's what this reminds me of.
Does
Beautiful
anybody
nose? I will say I love the nose. Sorry, Luna.
Sorry, does anybody get a lot of dryness at the end, like tannins or something? So
It's not overly dry for me, this one.
okay.
There is a little bit.
I get a lot of heat. I get a lot of pepper on it.
There is a lot of pepper in there, a lot of white pepper on it.
Mm.
I wonder how much that classic base is influencing the lack of sherry notes that you mentioned, Luna, or a variation from traditional sherry notes.
Yeah, I think it's more. It's also keeping the classic style or the classic recipe as a base will also balance it off and not letting the sherry overpower. It's the same thing with the red wine cask or even with the peated that we have. It's like, if I had to say the peated elements, it will be like 10 ppm. It's that lightly, like a hint of peat. Same over here with the sherry. It's very light. It's like, as I said, it's more of an introduction to sherry. You understand what a sherry cask is. If you like this style of whiskeys, there are of course so many whiskeys out. Even we have something which is a big sherry, 53% sherry bomb as well.
So the sherry component, was that 100 always in a sherry cask, or was it finished in it? It was all.
No,
it was
always. That's 3 years old in sherry, and the cask was seasoned for 1 year with the sherry wine.
interesting. Okay.
Would you ever release 100% sherry?
We do. We do
You do?
have it already. We have something called as an Apex sherry, which is a small batch of a few casks wetted together. And there are about 3,000 bottles of something we got, about higher ABV as well. It's a nice, beautiful whiskey. Not a big sherry bomb. I mean, the one thing for me is, like, as I said, I was talking about being a favorite style. I will pick up an ex-bourbon and now STR. The sherry is sometimes, it just takes over a lot for me. I like when it's more chocolatey and creamy sweetness and not something drier or spice coming in. That's my palate, by the way. So it's something which doesn't work very well for me. So I like when it is sweeter, or when you say sherry, it should be more sweet for me, for my palate, and not getting it more drier. Now,
I get what you mean.
I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat as well. If I miss any questions, you can just always ask me. Or that was Tom's duty, by the way.
The baby's just gone to sleep, so I should be on it a bit.
I hope you can't hear mine. I can hear him over here. He's trying to sleep. Trying to sleep is the word.
Are you in the baby's room, Tom?
That's where he keeps the whiskey now, Luna. It's overflowed from the dining room.
Not a bad idea. I'm looking
That's
after
to
the
stop him
baby
going
has
in there
a
once the
totally new kind of dimension then.
Be careful with that, Tom. Mine have just started walking. He walks in this room and he just picks up any bottle on the lower shelf. So I'm trying to keep all my glassware and stuff like that down. So if you want to break, dude, you can do that, not my bottles.
I have the opposite problem. Mine are old enough to drink and they just take it. No, I'm joking. They don't. They ask first.
It's if they when they get to that age where they take it and then they're like, oh, I'll just fill the rest up with water. Just like you're like, no, I'd rather you just did not do that.
It's normally Coke or something like that.
Right. So that was a sherry. Was good. Anyone not so happy with it? I know when you say the thing is when you say sherry, the moment you use the word sherry over here, I mean, even when you go to a bar, you think of a big sherry bomb. You want that big sweet sherry whiskeys. So if somebody was expecting that, I'm sorry, it's not. It's more of an easy, gentle sherry.
Yeah, see, I quite like that because at this time of the year, when it's a lot warmer, you know, sherried whiskies, you always think, oh, this is like autumn or winter sort of dram, and it's not right for warmer weather. That one's really tasty at this time of year when it's warmer because it's quite fresh.
So I'll copy that, Toby. I'll use the word as it's a summer sherry.
Yeah, why not?
Well,
I think it's sherry in the way that your classic was SDR, yeah. So it's not overpowering at all, which I suppose it's going to let some people down that see sherry written on the front of the label, for sure. But for me, who is not really the biggest sherry bomb person, it's quite pleasant and.
No, and that's why I said as well, Ewan, because it's you get this expectation when you say sherry, and it happens to me as well when you walk in a bar. But for my personal, I mean, for me, something which I like will be a sherry finish. For example, if I had to pick one, like a short finish on a sherry to just get a bit of the sherry influence on it and not letting the sherry take over. That is my personal thing, as when I pick up a dram.
100%, I agree on that point. I just prefer that in general. I prefer that ex-bourbon flavour profile. Like, I like to try these different cask finishes. It's interesting to try and different cask maturations of finishes, but it's not always your kind of go-to. You've got like the flavour you're right into, and you like to explore all those things. There's more things to try.
Mm-hmm. So,
and I imagine that this one is also good over ice. So,
summer sherry it is.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm noting it down, Toby. Thanks, Toby, for getting this up. Summer sherry.
It's always summer in Tel Aviv, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you're looking at about 40 degrees Celsius, but the thing is, it also goes down. It also goes down to even 0 sometimes, but it's always mostly hot. Mostly hot. We have got the next one, which is a bit higher ABV. Number 3. It's a single cask. It's a single cask, by the way. I'm just getting this one. I brought this up in the order. We changed it in the whole lineup is because I wanted to get the element sherry first because it is easier. And I got this one because this is an STR single cask, so we understand what an STR is. And as I said, I'm in love with this style of whiskey. How many of you guys have tried an STR before? Just an STR single cask? Yeah. So this is from Watt Whiskey. I'm sure you know Watt Whiskey, Mark Watt, and this is his bottling of M&H. His bottling of M&H, 3 years old whiskey. I love this style. I can just sit with this nose. I can just go on with it. This is my whiskey romance.
To be fair, STR was what made me love White Peak, and this bottle, I went through my bottle of the milk and honey. I had to save a couple of drams for myself and you for this tasting, Shilton.
Yeah.
It just disappeared. Really good dram.
So it's a lovely dram. It is only a 3 years old whiskey, by the way. And I don't know if you can see it. Look at the color. 3 years old single cask will let you know exactly about what we are talking about here. What happens in 3 years' time. You get a lot coming out. You know, you extract a lot from the wood in that 3 years.
This is one that's kind of interesting. I remember trying, or I was in Campbelltown, went into the halls of Campbelltown shop later, like to pick up some of the wall whiskey stuff. I saw it on the shelf. I was kind of like really interested in it. I was one of the few that they didn't have any tasting stock left of. I was like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Just you want to try it, and you maybe want to buy a bottle, but at the same time you want to try it before you do, because you're not entirely sure when it's something that's quite unusual like that. But trying it now, I'm like, yeah, regret the decision not to take one.
Yeah, I mean that's and STR. That's one of the shops I was buying one last time. I remember I called them up when Mark did the bottling of the Paul John, and we I think end of the year, and I just picked up the phone and say. So I was telling him it's Shilton Almeida, and the guy was like not getting it. You know, can you spell that for me? Like, you know, he's not getting it. Of how to get the name? I said, just turn the bottle around, you'll see my name on it. That's me. That's simple. Like, oh, thank you. Then he was telling Mark about this joke, and Mark was telling me this is what he did. But this is an STR. This is one bottle I've not bought for myself yet. This is something on my list to pick. I think the Whiskey Exchange had it as well some time ago.
Wow.
This is like next level compared to the others.
Yeah, it's a big whiskey, and me getting into this style of whiskey, for me personally, as an experience, I was in the Whiskey Fringe in Edinburgh, and I was just getting into different stands just to see if there is anybody who else does an STR cask. I know Kingspan had it, but it didn't have a single cask. I tried one from Cotswold as well, just to compare and see. For us, just 3 years time, that's huge. That's big. Just getting the wood flavors coming in straight away. What is the ABV? It is 57.1. That 0.1 is very important.
Yeah, I think if this is what Milk and Honey can do, then they're definitely destined for great things.
Yeah, and this is the STR which will give that. I mean, going back to the classic, we were talking about the classic before, but using that 20% STR cask there. You can see this notes coming in on there. Can you compare it? Do you remember if you tried when you tried the classic and see that, you know, what an STR cask gives you in a glass?
Has anyone added any water to it yet?
It's definitely similar.
Yes, I added water. I had to add water immediately because it's really intense.
It's not pulling any punches, is it?
It's borderline too hot for me, but I can just about drink it. But yeah, there's definitely similarities between that and the classic.
Shilton, wasn't Kinahan's doing an STR cask a few years ago?
Who's that? Sorry?
Kinahan's, an Irish distillery, I think.
No, not heard of them. No. I don't know if they have done a STR. I know. I mean, if you look at it, you'll see the STR cask used a lot in Kavalan. Kiloman does it. Cotswold using it as well.
Neckneen has one as well.
Neckneen is doing it as well. Neckneen was Dr. Jim's last project, if I'm not wrong. I think so. That's the last distillery he has worked with.
Cotswolds.
Cotswolds use it. Penderyn do it, I think. I've not tried a single cask from Penderyn, but yeah.
I think that's better without water. Obviously, it brings down the ABV and makes it more drinkable, but I think it actually tastes better without water.
I think with the STR, I think any distillery that was associated in any way with Jim Swan uses the STR because it was his
signature.
I don't want to say invention, but it's his signature. And when he passed on, he left everyone with the name of the bloke at the bodega that makes them. But yeah, that's why you get lots of the younger distilleries using them because it gives it a lot of flavour at a young age.
Yeah, I think it really works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It can do. Yeah, I think people in the chat saying it's a bit hit and miss, but certainly on this, and I wonder whether that higher heat that you've got out in Tel Aviv, Shilton, has an influence on that, you know, with the expansion and contraction, maybe pushing it forward a few more years than it would be in England, for instance.
Yeah. Well, I think, again, it is most of the distilleries are new. I don't remember trying a single cask. I've tried an STR from Cotswold for sure. But then I've seen the difference as well in both. When you can get this one, like you can see this distilleries, maybe they will need more time, maybe an 8 years old or a 10 years old to get to that flavor profile of it on STR. But I personally would love to try more STR cask as a single cask. It has just got me, you know, being a big bourbon fan or ex-bourbon cask fan, and then suddenly I tried the STR. I'm like, wow! And then you just keep looking for STR single cask, and you don't find many out there. Well, you can drink your own, so yeah. I've just tried it with the water as well. How many of you guys have tried with the water? What's your take? What do you think?
I really enjoy it with the water. It takes a lot of the herbaceous kind of green sappy notes I was getting for it, and it rounds it off a lot on the palate as well.
Yeah, see, I get with the water, it becomes a lot drier and more tannic for me.
I was just going to say the same, Toby. For me, it's with the water, it's mellowed down, yes, but it's more tannic for me. You can get the wine. You can see that it's more winey side of it. You know, it's getting, of course, STR is they are wine cask, but you can see it more getting winey. But I will prefer it with that big spice punch coming out straight away without the water, personally.
I enjoy dry tannic finishes.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you really like that style of it, then you should try the Elements red wine cask, which is the core range, which is kind of we use wines like Cabernet Sauvignon or Carignan wine cask, so it's very winey.
I don't know if anyone else had anything on that, but on nose there's like a almost cat sour thing coming out to me up front. But like, I mean, it's not necessarily bad, just was kind of strange. Like, was expecting that from STR, I guess, like from my experience with it.
It's a big whiskey. It's something we need to sit down with. I'm sure when you're sitting down, lying, just more chilled out and enjoying it will be a different whiskey. If I will want to open it up but not with the water. I want to see it. Just I've not tried it myself. This one I've tried a STR cask, but this is the sample I received. That's why I asked it. That's why I asked you, Tom. Same like that as well. I want to buy a bottle of it. Let me try this. So tomorrow after the tasting, I'll buy the buy the bottle. But I love it. I love it. So
no worries, mate. I'll send you up some White Peak STR as well, so you can try that one.
I'm quite impressed with the White Peak. When I tried it at one of the shows as well, they are new releases. It's very good liquid for that age and being a new distillery. Right, this was good. Next one is number 7. I will not tell you what it is. I will wait till you nose it and have a sip of it, and then I'll tell you what it is. But I really want to understand and see. And what do you think? One thing I can assure you that you have not tried a whiskey in that style before. I think maybe, yeah. Let's find out.
Who did the ordering? Why are we? What I'd put them all out in 1 to 8, right?
Wait, Omar,
was it you?
Omar, when you split 8 bottles by 23 people, you don't have time to do the labels when you've got a newborn. I'll tell you. So.
I couldn't tell whether it was a 4 or a 6.
Well, yeah, that's my handwriting. Apologies.
I don't even have that excuse. Stress and like for the taste something like literally just I use coloured dots because I couldn't be arse writing then. So I was like, nah, not doing it, not having this. You can have coloured dots and you work out on the day.
Yeah. What's the fun if things are quite simple? It has to be a bit difficult, right?
What are we on 7? Sorry, I went sidetracked.
Yeah, number 7.
This isn't the Dead Sea cask, is it?
Nope.
All right, just checking.
It reminds me of
He's
some
trying. He's trying.
It reminds me of some McMira fruit wine finishes or fruit wine maturations.
You're getting there.
Yeah, now I've tried it. It's very fruity.
So we have tried the core range. We tried the single cask, and we know what the distillery makes. Now we have something called as the Apex series. So Apex is our next level. Is more like I would say is our playground where we try different cask. The first Apex that we released, and all the Apexes are small batches. It could be 2 casks, it could be 3 casks or 4 casks wetted together that we have tried. The first one we did was a white wine cask. It was a Chardonnay cask, white wine that we used. We have got some rum cask, some cognac cask. We have done all this cask to try. We have got some tequila cask on the way, and we have got some orange wine cask coming as well. So we tried this. This is one of the best-selling whiskeys in the range, the one you have right now. It's an Apex pomegranate wine cask. It's also higher ABV, by the way. Was it 59, the one you got there? Oh, no, it's a new one. Is it 59?
Did you have that bottle with you in Limburg, Shilton?
I had the bottle with me in Limburg, yes.
Ah, that's where I tried it. That's where I tried it. Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so this is 57.2%.
57.2.
And we've got to say a big thanks to Shilton because this is currently unreleased in the UK. So we'll probably want to look at... No, it is released now, is it?
It's just arrived with the distributor. Still not on the shelf. I don't think you will see it on the shelf. Because if you are seeing that, this will be batch number 14, is it, Tom? It says batch 14?
Batch 14, yeah.
Yeah, batch 14 is a new batch. You will find a pomegranate out. You will find something called as a pomegranate wine cask out on the shelf. This is the Apex, but that will be the batch 8. You can find this easily. This was the first one. This was finished in a pomegranate wine cask, but the one you're trying now is fully matured in a pomegranate wine cask.
I have to say, in the chat, people are loving the nose on it. Very fruity, Haribo cherries, winey grapes. So yeah, going down well on the nose, definitely. What are people thinking on the taste?
Anyone has tried a pomegranate juice, like a fresh pomegranate juice? I did that when I was in Jerusalem, and that weather it works so well. With just getting the fresh juice out and drinking it. So it's sweet, a bit soury as well. When you finish it, and it works very well with the hot climate. This, trust me, anyone tried a pomegranate wine?
Shilton, I have been working on a groceries market, and we used to have a lot of pomegranates, and often I took them home, and we had the juice straight from the fruit itself. Yep. And you can just buy pomegranate juice only. That's called grenadine. Maybe you know that.
Mm-hmm.
At least we in the Netherlands we know grenadine. That's the juice from the pomegranate. So maybe you know that.
So you
can just buy the fruit and eat it. Comes a lot from Iran, Iraq, that region. The large producers. So
yeah, they are they are the big producers. At the same time, they use pomegranate a lot. It's a part of the culture in Israel. You know, you'll see a pomegranate fruit being used, and those are huge pomegranates. What you get up in Jerusalem, it's not something you will find here. They're like huge. What you see there. So I tried the pomegranate wine cask whiskey. That is this one first, and then when I was there in February, the first thing I said, I need to try the wine, because I need to understand what this is all about. And then I went to the distillery, tried different wines. You can do different style of wines with the pomegranate fruit. It can be something dry to sweet, dessert wine as well. And when I went to the winery, I was trying to understand. The first thing I said is, tell me one thing, how do you crush it? to get the juice out, because you have those tiny seeds in there. So that was my curiosity, and the guy was telling me, because it is very pulpy, so you just have a very soft crush. You don't just kind of crush it down. So soft crush to get the juice out, and you get it. It's, trust me, if I had to pick the wine, it's not one of the big. I'm not a big wine fan, anyways, but it's not one of the best wines to try. But the cask actually worked very well, very good for us for the whiskey. That is, again, it's so refreshing. That dram, although at that ABV at 57, I think it's very refreshing.
It's very much, I think you said it was how pomegranates are kind of sweet, but have that kind of like sour tartness kind of thing to them. That reminds me of kind of raspberry from that, because I've never really tried pomegranates. But that kind of similar idea of the sweetness with that kind of sour, like tartness coming with that, kind of balancing it. It's quite interesting to have in a whiskey.
I think I mean, that's why there's no other, I don't know of anyone who's used a pomegranate wine cask before. But the first initial thought when you try the whiskey is like, is it a sherry? That's the first second you think, is it a sherry? Because it gets on the sweet side of it, and then you taste it and get that bit soury as well, but nice, refreshing. And say this is not a sherry. That's why it's worth not telling first, and that people get confused a bit.
Shilton, is it the one with 59.5%?
No, this is one which is at 57.2, I think.
57.2. Okay.
Yeah. This
Thanks,
this will be saying as batch 14. It says batch 14 on it.
I'll put a close-up photo in the Discord after the chat, Luna.
Thank you.
Thoughts? What do you think?
Really nice for me.
A bit dangerous is the first one.
Very dangerous. That's my favorite so far. I have already been looking up if I can get it.
Where did you say you're based, Luna?
In Germany.
You've got this one. If it is not on the way, I'm off to Germany this weekend, so I'm expecting it to be on the shelf.
So where will you be? Will you be in a fair or something?
I'm doing Munich 2 days. I come to London to do a tasting on the 5th, 2 days in London, and then I'm not even coming home. I go back to Hamburg.
Hamburg, yeah.
I go to Hamburg to Whiskey Plaza, 2 days tastings, and from there I drive to Berlin for Whiskey Herbst in Berlin.
Oh, Whiskey Herbst. Yeah, that's nice. That's outside, right?
Yeah, that's outside in the tent. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely.
Another summer whiskey. If you want the cask strength whiskey, I think it's a nice, refreshing whiskey for me. I love this one. And it's a very unusual dram as well, because you do not find a dram like that. It's you don't find something on the shelf or something you can try, which is on a similar style. The one thing which is quite interesting is with soury notes, you don't find that sour notes coming out in a dram easily. I don't find much. And it doesn't taste like 57.2 for me. No, easy.
It definitely goes down a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Especially in comparison to kind of coming off the what whiskey STR, how much not massively difference in strengths, but this is so much lighter and easier to drink at cask strengths than that one was.
Is literally 0.1 in difference there, Chase. So
yeah, there is actually a 0.1 difference in two, but that's a single cask, and you get this one is this one doesn't taste, or doesn't feel like a 57. At least you could get it. At least you could get on the What Whiskey single cask. It's an STR cask. This one does not. It's more. It's like I don't even want to water it down. I don't even want to.
I just tried it, and it just becomes sharper.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, it's just great as it is at its 57.1 or what it was. Yeah. So no water, because that makes it, for me, it makes it just too sharp.
And are these all around the three-year mark as well, even for the cask strength ones?
They're all 3 years. All the
3 years.
whiskies today are 3 years old whiskies.
That's crazy.
You
Because
will- sorry.
because on every single one I've had straight from the offset, there's a lot of oak influence throughout all of them, and you don't, and the tannins coming through as well. You don't normally get that on such young whiskey at all.
Mm-hmm. And it's the thing. This is what will make it easy. When you find a young whiskey, it tends to be more spirity. You can get the spirit straight away. It's more sharper on the palate, and then it's a young whiskey, maybe a drop of water to get more flavors out and all that. But in this case, it's only 3 years old, and it's great. It's not very spirity, especially this pomegranate. I wouldn't say it's a 3 years old whiskey.
Not at all.
There is the first one which is out in the market. You might see still is a batch 8. It's a batch 8, which is easily, you can see out a pomegranate wine cask. It's at 59.6, I think 59.5% ABV. This one is finished for about 8 months in a pomegranate wine cask. So it's a bit different, but lighter, I will say. If you really want to understand a pomegranate wine cask, then the dram you're having right now is fantastic. It's fully matured in a pomegranate wine cask.
We had Ewan saying that it was more like your sherry cask than a sherry cask, if you know what I mean. So, and also someone else saying about chocolatey up front, which I'd agree with.
Mm-hmm. I like who was it? Someone said it's like it's more. This is more sherry than your sherry. Actually, I agree on that.
I think that was Ewan who came in with that one. Yeah, I think I tried the other version of the pomegranate. I think this one definitely shines through, a lot more fruity for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, both of them are really nice, so you can't really go wrong with it. But yeah, I think this one definitely is a bit more pure, I guess.
I think I agree with I think there's Luna that said that it comes across like a Macmira, like champagne experimental, the ones that they get kind of their fancy stuff.
She was spot on when she said it's more like the Macmira style, because they do a lot of this different wine or more experiments. I was like, okay, she's getting there,
I think they do fruit wine, like kind of berry wines and all these kinds of things. They drink in Sweden apparently quite a lot, because importing wine can be quite expensive, I think. So they just do their own fruit wine and stuff.
They've got so many of those, and they come up with this experiment. Just don't ask me the names because I can't pronounce them. But but there are so many experiments that they do. They're nice, more about this fruity, winey, different wines that they use. Wine cask, sorry. What's the batch number on the next one you have, Tom? I'm just trying to pick the right one. Is it batch 10?
Which number are we on now?
Number 6 is the next one.
Okay, give me a second.
Is it number 10? I think so.
Is it the rum cask?
No, the Dead Sea.
Oh, Dead Sea. Okay. Got so many empty bottles I've been hanging on for about a month and a half now. Yeah, batch 10.
Batch 10. Okay, perfect.
Hiya. Hold on. I got just got a load of questions come through off Alan McLaughlin, who couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Are you getting a reverb off my phone, being?
Yeah, we are, Dave, but it's not too bad.
2 minutes. I'll turn it off.
I need a little.
So, is it still? Excuse me. So he sent the first question about this cask, so I thought I'd just wait till this one came up and then fire all of his questions at you, if that's okay. His question was, what exactly is the Dead Sea cask? I'm sure you're about to explain it, but
why?
No, what is it? He said.
Okay, well, the Dead Sea is again in a similar recipe. This one has got ex-bourbon, STR cask, and a red wine cask. And red wine cask. Instead of the virgin oak, we use a red wine in this one. But we changed the recipe. It's a small batch again.
But obviously, it's aged by the Red Sea, isn't it? That's what makes it. The Dead Sea. That's what makes it Dead Sea cask.
Dead Sea, yeah, not Red Sea. Sorry. Oh, so it is. It's
Where
actually.
it's aged.
It's aged in the sea.
Yeah, it's
It's
not.
aged by.
Yeah, not in the sea. Not in the sea.
Their water comes from the Dead Sea.
Right.
It's just
No,
really salty.
No. So this one is called as the Apex Dead Sea. This is a batch 10 because there's one more batch which is just out as well. With a little bit different recipe. Ex-bourbon mainly, STR, and then a red wine cask. This whiskey is matured at the Dead Sea. It is actually matured on a roof of a hotel on the terrace, right? It's anyone on social media must have seen the photos I just put up yesterday, I think so, when I was there. As a country, it's 430 kilometers from north to south. In this 430 kilometers from north to south, you find 5 different climate zones. And you can go to the Jerusalem mountains where you'll see it's snowing. It's snowing, or you can pass through the desert in 1 hour's in 1 hour's drive, and you can get another an hour. You are down to the Dead Sea. Very hot, 50 degrees Celsius. 50 degrees Celsius, and we lose an angel share at the Dead Sea of about 25 to 40% per year. We have about 30 casks maturing over there, where on the roof, on the hotel roof. That's when we wanted to try this out. Now we have got cask in the Jerusalem mountains. We have got cask at the Sea of Galilee. We got cask in the desert as well. So we are trying this out and see what's going to happen. Dead Sea was the first experiment to try it. About 30 casks on the roof. It's in a cage. It's actually in a cage, of course, because you don't want the guests to just go on the roof and have some, right? So you have to secure them. So it's in the cage, and it's actually being exposed straight away. It's minus 400 ish below sea level. So it's the lowest point on earth. A lot of air pressure. When you lose a lot, we mature this whiskey is only matured for 1 year at the Dead Sea. You cannot leave it over there for 3 years. Well, you can, unless it depends on how much you want out of it.
Get a glass at the end.
Yeah. So you will, and when I was there in February, and I did all these places in 1 day. Trust me, never do it if you ever think of visiting Israel. You don't want to visit all these places in 1 day. It's like taking 4 flights in a day. You like jet lag at the end of the day. So I was there at the Dead Sea. We went up, and a very funny story you always keep telling. That's why I put up that post, Tom, which you had seen about that story. So we went to the cage, and it's just trying to get. We got a Wallenshin, and wanted to try the sample. So Tal, my colleague, he said, "Let's try some cask over here, samples, and see what's happening." Of course, we were trying to get the Wallenshin. We couldn't get it in because of the cage, right? So casks are like that. The opening, it's up here, and you can't get the Wallenshin. The only other option is that you turn the cask, the barrel a bit, so you can slide it down on the side like that, with that angle, with the 45-degree angle. But that's hard work. I said, hold on, Tal, let me go climb on top of the cage. I'm trying to get it through the cage hole and get it down. So I went on top. I did that, and I'm just getting it. The Wallenshin goes in, but it touches the liquid like that. That's it. It doesn't go even 1 inch in the liquid. So you can't actually get anything out. So we're trying once, twice, like nothing coming out. I'm like, what do we do now? We want to try. I said, Tal, hold on. Let me try to just suck it out a bit. Right? Because it's touching. You can see that, and that will work. Wallenshin, it's not a straw. Come on. You can't actually suck out stuff from a Wallenshin. So, yeah, hold on. And Tal is inside the cage with 2 glasses. So I filled up these 2 glasses. He passed on the glass to me. I was sitting on top, tried it. Okay, it's an ex-bourbon. Wow, nice. I said, Shilton, try the STR as well. I said, again? Okay. So do the same thing again from top. Try this. So you try different casks sitting over there and trying it at the Dead Sea. The next day in the morning, I said to him, Tal, I cannot come to see you. I'm feeling sick, dude. Why? What happened? I could feel my chest. It was hurting so badly because it's nothing to do with the Dead Sea. It's the alcohol I was sucking in. it's the fumes I'm sucking in. I'm like, oh, I can't. It's like someone punched me. That is one lesson I learned. Never do it again. The guy, Tal and Tomer, and the guy saying, Shilton, you are a whiskey sucker. They'll give me a name. I came back with a name called Whiskey Sucker from there. But this is a big whiskey. It needs a lot of time, maybe a drop of water. But I think it's fantastic. It's not to compare, but it tastes like a very aged, we will say like a whiskey from a Scotch whiskey, or 18 years old, 20 years old Scotch whiskey kind of a style.
So the next question, you've already answered most of it.
Okay.
Apart from cages on hotel roofs, where does the rest of it get stored? That was, that was his next question. And
where?
Like, yeah, whereabouts? Like
at the Dead Sea, that's the only place that we have. We only have.
Oh no, it was just in general. I mean, you've discussed that, and you've said that it's here, there, and everywhere by all accounts.
Now we have it. Now we have it in all the 5 different climate zones, but nothing is released out to try. Most of our whiskey is in Tel Aviv at the distillery, and some on a location not far away, but it's not. It's actually
just, so I think what he's asking, is it just like standard warehousing, other than that?
It's standard warehousing as well, David. But there is one big difference, which I will say, which I can also tell you from my last experience as well, that when you get into the warehouse, even in Tel Aviv, if there are 2 rooms, like for example, this is one, right? Like in the distillery, the warehouse, there is one which you can, on the other side, it could be just a wall, but that has got more. But the air circulation, the whiskey will be very different in these 2 rooms for sure. Because there's more air circulation in the other room, this is more closed. So it's a very different whiskey, especially with that heat. With that temperature, hot and humid climate, so it changes a lot. It makes a big difference in 2. But most of the whiskey for us is in Tel Aviv, about 30 casks in all these different locations that we have. What is released out is only the Dead Sea.
Okay.
Can I just ask one small little question?
Sure.
When I was at Inter Whiskey in 2018, I can't remember, there were people who told me that you also stored some casks in caves around the Dead Sea.
In caves?
In caves, yeah.
No.
So I might be remembering that incorrectly. So
maybe it was a cage, not a cave.
Maybe it was late in the day, Shilton. It was late in the day at a whiskey fair, so you want to excuse me there. Okay, that was my question.
That time. No, it is. Yeah. We have it on the. We are changing the location now. I mean, we're just changing it from one place to another because we were renting it out, right? And we want more cars to be matured there. So we're looking for a warehouse at the Dead Sea as well. So same, just a different location, but on the same place. Sorry, David. What's the next question? Is there?
I can ask them at the end if you want, because they're kind of more summary questions about the distillery and what's going on in the future. So
sure, yep, I'll cover that up anyway.
Enjoy the whiskey, I suppose.
What's your thoughts on the Dead Sea? What do you think?
Me, I think it's lovely. It's really, really good.
It's like the older brother of number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm going to say the younger brother of number 3. I think number 3 was a little bit more, had more depth.
Yeah, number 3 is definitely more impressive.
This tastes like a younger version, but stronger.
This is my second favourite so far.
It's still up there, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's good.
This has got the similar recipe like the classic, which was the first whiskey you tried today. It has got a similar recipe. It just changed from that virgin oak to red wine cask. That's the only replacement there. But this is more like the first whiskey, like the classic, like I would say, like a Big Brother or that whiskey on steroids. I always say that it's a big cask strength whiskey, and you can actually feel it every time you sip it. You can feel this whiskey.
Here's a question for the group and for yourself, Shilton.
Mhm.
Obviously, island whiskies and sort of coastal whiskies are always associated, well, not always, but often associated with a sort of salty flavour or salty notes. Is anybody getting any from this? And does anybody ever mention it to you in tastings?
For me, yes. You get it. I get people saying you get a tasty, a salty note to that. But it is you can find that in any whiskey. It has got nothing to do because it is being matured at the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
That is my thought in this, right? And it's, I know this is a topic which is always comes up in as a point of discussion, and we can go on with it. I believe that, though, I mean, I'll say it again. I believe that to get the salt in the whiskey, the only way is to add salt to the whiskey. Maturing it over there. Well, of course, I said at the Dead Sea, and we know that it's very high salt content. I also experienced it. Never tried the water at the Dead Sea. Never tried that. I was told not to do that, and I still did that. And I learned my lesson. I said, do two things. Don't let the water go in your eyes, and don't taste it. I said, eyes, yeah, of course, I'll be careful. But taste, I want to do that. I've always been that child, who, when my mom said not to do, I will do it. So I said, I'm going to do it. And when I was walking out of the water, I just did that, not even a drop, like just tasted it. My palate was ruined for the rest of the evening. I can tell you that. I was like, stop, can we have some beers on the way or something, just to cleanse your palate? Nothing works. So it's very salty, yes. There is salt in the air, yes. I know that the cask breathes, but you actually wouldn't get salt because of that. And if you get it, it's not like salty whiskey. You can get a hint of salty note to that. That is my thought. I don't know what the group thinks, but
yeah, I reckon it's like nigh unscientifically impossible, don't there, for salt to actually go into the whiskey through a cask. But it does always seem to appear in coastal whiskies. There's got to be something there.
I think because sometimes most of the coastal whiskies are like a peat influence, and I think as well the iodine like flavors, or it can like put your senses into a false sense of security, so you get that iodine flavor or note on your nose, and then obviously it tricks your brain thinking there's something briny in there. But I normally refresh my palate in between ones with bits like little salt crystals anyway, so I'm no good for detecting salt, so that's useless.
Anybody else get salt?
I get a lot of barrel char, actually. Much more.
So much char, so much barrel as well.
And from the other, from number 3, there's not as much barrel char in number 3, I think, for me.
See, what if I had to tell you that this whiskey, the Dead Sea one, it's got a teaspoon of peated whiskey in it? What if I had to tell you this?
That's why David's getting the salt in this then.
So I was already doing the skin test, like rubbing a little bit of whiskey on my skin, and I thought, is it peated? No, is it peated? I don't know, but there's a bit of peat in it, right? So I'm not peat blind. Thank you.
There's there, I would say like a teaspoon of it. That's it. Just a hint of it. Touch of, not even a hint, a touch of it is the word.
Just get a lot of the, like you said, the STR. So you get a lot of that shaved, toasted, and recharred. So you get a lot of that rechar through.
Char, yeah. But it's also, the thing is, like, briny is a word I saw, I think, so coming up over there, and not very salty. So, well, I tried some salty whiskeys. I've tried it, which you get more salt. And again, it's more about sea salt and, sitting on the beach and having a dram kind of a memory. So the best thing is that the whiskey triggers a memory. It reminds you of something. Many times people even get confused when they say, is it peated, when it is more young and more spirity. And you say, when you try a whiskey and you say, if you think it is peaty, then just think again, is it peaty or is it spirity? Is it the spirit or the peat? Well, it all depends as well. What do you think about this? Betsy?
Like Toby said before, this is my second favorite. Actually, it's really nice.
It's good. Yeah, it's good, but I think the number 3 is better.
I'm not a fan of number 3. Sorry.
Number three as the whiskey we had today. Okay, number 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
the what whiskey one?
Yeah, that's marginally better than Dead Sea, but Dead Sea is very good.
I think Dead Sea's one that I kind of want to sit with longer, like trying to, like, it's a little bit more subtle than some of the other ones have been. Like, there's a little bit hard to kind of pick out a specific flavour from. Like, there's definitely flavour there. It's just to pick it down to a specific word. You kind of like, you spend a bit longer getting into it.
For me, number 3 is just right in your face. It's just a big whiskey, just smacks you right into your face. And number 6 is a bit more, for me at least, a bit more delicate.
Yeah, number 3, it's a single cask, right? And a single cask is every time you buy a single cask, if you see something up here, which I must have bought a single cask of something, single cask is a very personal affair. I will never listen to anybody who tells me that this is one of his favorite whiskey. I will never buy it because it's his favorite whiskey, not mine. Single cask is one cask. Every cask are different. They will give you different notes. Some of them, even if you try maybe 3 or 4 different STRs, it's not necessarily you like all of them. So it's a very personal thing. If you like it, you like it. And it's one cask only. There are only about 300 bottles of it. That's it. So when you see something, you just pick it up. I personally am a big fan of the STRs. So far, I mean, I've tried all, but I'm in love. Today's session so far, I think the What Whiskey one is my favorite. Today's session. Because also I did not try it before. So maybe another reason.
I think I really like the Dead Sea, but I think the pomegranate is just a little more me in terms of the fruitiness. But yeah, I think most of this, well, everything we've tried tonight has been really enjoyable, including the new make, and it's easy to see that sort of journey from the new make through.
Yeah,
agree.
If you like the pomegranate, Tom, then good luck to your liver because that's an easy drinking one. That's a dangerous dram, dude.
And you've seen me at enough festivals to know I'm an easy drinker.
Speaking of festivals, Sheldon, are you going to the Birmingham one? Are you hosting at the stand?
No, Nichols and Perks one. Is it the one? Yeah, no. I'm actually in Birmingham this month. I'm doing a tasting at the Whiskey Club. Or the Whiskey Bar.
Okay.
Amy's Bar, yeah. I'm doing a tasting. So it's a food pairing as well. No, I'm not doing that show because I am traveling somewhere in Europe.
Mysterious.
Good. Is that a good one to try the next one? Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one is something. Again, I'm very sorry, you cannot buy it in the UK, and you will not be able to buy it in the UK. It's a new project we just started.
But maybe in Europe.
You will find lots of those in Europe. It's already in some of the shelves in places like Belgium, in Germany as well. It's coming in Germany, yes. We have done this. Oh, where is it? Okay. We have done something called as an art and craft project this year. We have started this. Art and craft project is this year is a beer cask project where we work with the local breweries and we send the cask to them for the beers, and then we get it back and then we mature the whiskey. This is the whole idea of the art and craft. Next year will be something different. Could be like dessert wine cask or something. We have done 6 of these different style of beers. The one we have now is called as the Belgian Ale beer cask on the label. I can, well, it's at 55.1% ABV. It's 55.1% ABV. This is not out in the UK. It will not come because it is sold out as well. There are not many bottles of this. Again, 988 bottles only. So there are only few going up in different countries. We have done an IPA in an ex-Isla cask. There's a stout beer coming out as well. There is what's that? Chocolate porter as well. A beer cask. So we've got different beer casks that we have, different numbers, small batches, somewhere around 700 to 1,500 maximum. But yeah, 3 years old, ex-beer cask.
Sheldon, is it a beer or is it like a stout or
a beer? It's a beer. It's an ale. It's
an ale. It's an ale.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
We send the cask to this brewery, to these guys, and then they will keep the beer in the cask and then get the cask back after they mature the beer, and then we mature it for 3 years further.
Okay. Just I was just want to know, because obviously you get different types of, like you said, ales and stuff. Like I'm getting like a very, almost like a coffee stout on the nose, just straight off the bat. It's nice. What ABV did you say this was?
55.1.
What was the inspiration, Shilton? Because I know you're a big fan of your Belgian beers. Did you have an influence, or was it?
I'm not the only guy. The guys at the distillery are Tomer and Tal are also crazy beer lovers. So trust me.
That was already in the works before you signed over.
I think twice when I go and see them. Like, do I want to go out with them for drinks? So they love their beers. How much do we love a beer? At the distillery, we are 25 people, right? I always say, how big is your team? We are 25 plus one. I'm the plus one. 25 people at the distillery. We have a tap. We have a beer at the distillery. We buy the beer. So when the guys are working, they would just walk around saying, "Oh, it's afternoon, it's hot. Just get a beer from the tap." And they have a small glass of beer walking around and working. So they actually have a beer when they are working from a tap straight away at the distillery. Come on, this is how much you love the beer.
So do they actually mature the beer in casks and then sell the beer, or is it just discarded?
Yeah, they sell it. Not all of them, because we have got 6 of them, 6 different styles. But some of them do sell it as well, but only in not for export, only for the local markets. But then we get the cask in and we've done it. Something that we have done, it's, as I said, it's a small batch. It's something, let's try it and see what's going to happen. Next year will be art and craft again, but a different style of beer, different style of cask. Something. I think it's a dessert cask that we are working on for next year.
Lots of people liking this in the chat, and I have to say, on first tasting, I think this is incredible. A really nice dram.
I think I've not even got it in any tasting. This is the first time I'm doing putting it in the lineup of the M&H, because it's not out yet.
We've got Paul G saying it's really, really nice. Other people wanting a group visit to the distillery. Chocolate and coffee notes, and a couple of people not enjoying it as much as the other drams we've had tonight. It's definitely a room splitter, as it were. But yeah, for me, it's really nice, smooth, and very chocolatey.
Maybe it will have been sitting next to, or we should have tried it after the Elements earlier, because it's more. And then we tried some big punchy whiskeys as well. Also to remember that it doesn't taste like a 55 for me. I will go down easy. It's more like a 46-ish number. How many of you guys are not a big fan of this? Yeah. Okay.
I'm not big into beer, but ale, do you need hops to make? Always need hops to make beer, don't you?
Mhm.
So, but
Not every
there's
time.
not
Not every
but-
time.
Not always, no.
no. But is there hops in ale?
No.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
No,
Well,
it's
you
not-
normally have hops
not-
in IPAs, Indian pale ales.
Depending
they
on
do put
depending
the
on
hops.
depending on what type of ale as well it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Okay.
So they used to put hops in ale whilst they were traveling to India, and they used to put hops in it because it made the life of the beer last longer. That's why it's called Indian pale ale. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So because being from Germany, I basically just know
No,
the
when-
4 ingredients.
it's funny when you talk to people in Germany about beers. Okay, it's completely different, and those beers are big, strong beers that you get. And if you try the Belgian beers, are completely different. I'm a big fan of the Belgian beers, coming from dark beers to something which is sour beers as well. But when you talk about the German beers, it's always like, oh, we have got better beers, but they are big, strong beers. We have got the Doppelbock as well, and we have got the Porter style as well. So more like your German style beers that you will find in the market. I personally like in the range. If I had to pick one, I like the Ex Isla IPA. Because we get to make our peated whiskey, we also get some Ex Isla cask, and you'll find some single cask maybe out in the market which are Ex Isla cask that we do, and that Ex Isla IPA is, for me, it's fantastic.
One thing I found was interesting on a previous tasting, Shilton, was the fact that you get some of your peated barley from Scotland and some of it is from Croatia, I believe, and
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic. And I was asking, is it Tomar, your head distiller, if there was any difference in the new make, and he said it was quite clear where they'd come from. So I thought that was interesting, given the terroir debate sparked by. Have you had the chance to try?
We have stopped the Czech Republic one. We are depending on the UK one. The barley, the peated barley, also goes from the UK right now. It's more about the Highland peat that we use, which has been used. So it's more heathery, more earthy character, not your Isla style. But to get the Isla character, we use Ex Isla cask. So that works for us in both. Czech Republic barley, the one I have not tried it. I have not tried that spirit yet. No. Because now we don't use that. We use the UK barley.
Just Ex Lefroy cast, then, is it, or Coolila? Oh, tight-lipped. I like it.
After the recording, after the recording is off.
Has anyone got any more questions for Shilton before we go on to the last round?
No questions from me.
Cool. The next one is my absolute favorite in the Apex, I would say. If we're talking about the pomegranate, we're talking about the Dead Sea. I've told you about all the Apexes that we have done, small batches. This one is 1,420 bottles. This is an Apex rum cask. It's about 5 rum casks put in, and trust me, I go crazy when I see a rum cask matured whiskey, because you don't find many, and I love a rum, and I love a good rum. This is fantastic. It's nice and funky, which is I will describe myself as, first of all, in a whiskey. This is nice and funky on the nose to start, but you get a lot of honey sweetness on the back, on the finish. So 5 different rum casks, 4 Jamaican rum, 1 from Cuba. This is, I think, the one I kind of.
Is this still available in the shops?
This one is available in the UK. Yes, you will find it on the shelves still. But again, it's a small batch. We are working on the next Apex rum cask. Of course, it will be a different recipe. If you like the liquid, that's something to grab straight away. But whatever is on the shelf is on the shelf right now.
I think Ben's got a link for you, Omar, if you DM him. He seems to have found it.
He's okay, yeah, 95 quid. Because I sniffed ahead originally going off to 1, 2, 3, 4, and I was like, this smells amazing. And it still does, coming back to it.
This
One
is
of my favorite notes.
this is my kind of whiskey. Fun. It's funky. You know, you want to listen to some music, have a good laugh with people, and you know, I mean, of course, you can do it with every whiskey, but this is, if I had to describe myself as a dram, this will be it. This will be it.
We're just letting in Phil Ingham, who is a classic rum cask fan, so it'd be interesting after a day out in Liverpool what he thinks of this. But 57.3% Che on the alcohol volume, and it's batch number 4.
I think Phil will probably like quite a few of these.
Well, Phil will love all of them, but he particularly loves rum casks, so I'm expecting some Liverpudlian poetry on the value of this one.
There was one of them, I can't remember which one it was now, and I was tasting it, I was thinking, I think Phil's going to enjoy this one. I might have polished it off myself, actually. It's probably number 6, I would think. No, not that one. I don't know. We'll find out. Where is he?
Too much to drink, Dave. He's like, oh, it was one of these.
What do you think? What do you think about the rum casks?
Love it.
Can't really get my head around it, to be honest. I'll tell you what. First, on the nose, I got you know that stuff that put you to sleep at the dentist when you were a kid.
Roofies. You had a very different dentist than I did.
It was no, I didn't get injections. We had a gas mask thing. But, yeah, and don't get it now, but I don't know. I'll work it out. Give me 5 minutes or so.
This is in this lineup, as we don't have any peated one. I think this is a perfect whiskey to keep it at the end. It's not something which will come up straight away. It's more fun, more funky. You know, it goes on. I can nose this whiskey. I mean, I love a good rum, and I can see the rum straight away in this one. It's very rummy. You can get the rum notes coming up straight away. At the same time, very surprising, and I'm very impressed with it on the finish. Because on the finishes, we get more honey sweetness at the back. I don't know if you get it as well, but I get it. You get more honey sweetness at the back on this one.
I just wrote in the chat that it's got a lot of these kind of rum aromas, like pineapple and kind of these tropical fruits, and then you also have lemon aromas sprinkled in there, and these molasses as well. These not too strong, but a very light molasses. It's really nice. I'm not a big rum fan, but this is really lovely.
So I'm after whiskey, it will be rum for me to explore. I know there's so much going on, and there's so many good rums out there. But if I had to do my kind of research drinking, I call it, Tom will laugh at this when I say research drinking. It will be rum to explore more rums.
Shilton, how you doing, mate?
Hey, Ben, I'm good.
Yeah, there's a real charred pineapple on this. And I just wondered, because you mentioned, I can't remember which one it was earlier, you said there was a teaspoon of peat in it. There's not a teaspoon of peat in this as well?
No, this one. These are only 5 rum cask. That's it. 5, okay. 3 years old, 4 Jamaican rum, and 1 from Cuba. That's it. There's a lot of funk on the nose. It's very funky. You can get it straight away. It's like a rum on the nose. But then the moment you sip it down, you can get it. Okay, this is more whiskey. It's not taken over by the rum.
We've got a CO rum tasting coming up at some point, Shilton. So I'll send you a link for that if you want to join in.
Please.
If that's your sort of thing.
It is.
Alan, who'll be watching this back, said, I want some Jamaican rum. So I'm expecting that he'll enjoy this with the 4 Jamaican casks involved.
Oh, I love this. This is, yeah.
Phil, we were all interested on your thoughts, given that your love for the English whiskey rum cask. Are you enjoying this one?
I am enjoying it some, but given I've been all day on the ale, I think I'd have enjoyed the bells at this point. But no, it's lovely. I'm just saying to Luna in the chat just before you asked me. I always get with rum a real sherbet. No, like those from the UK will know a double lolly, and I'm getting that very much on both the nose and the palate, and it's delicious, really good.
I think I've tried that one, Phil. Is it the English whiskey company, the rum cask? I was lucky to get their single cask or cask strength from the distillery when I was there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love it.
It was the cask strength I shared with the bottle share group on the COs, which is just fantastic. Really, really nice dram. Yeah.
I still have a bottle of it somewhere. I remember that when I was at a distillery, I got it. I asked David to sign it for me as well.
Yeah.
I have to say, both that dram and this dram subvert what I think my view of rum cask is. I've had a few, like the Balvenie rum cask, and I just think these two are a cut above that. Like really nice, examples of a rum cask. So hopefully looks like people are enjoying it. And Phil's a Liverpool fan, Shilton, like yourself, I think.
100%, 100%.
Shilton, can you give the batch? Can you give the batch and the ABV on that one?
Sure. This is batch 4. There's only one rum cask actually. If you find if you do a milk and honey M&H rum cask, this is the only one out in the market.
Okay.
Batch 4, 57.3.
Thank you.
Although I must also add, maybe if you're lucky, if you know somebody in Belgium or Netherlands, to look out for a single cask rum cask.
Where's Frank?
It's a milk and
Frank?
it's a milk and honey. It's M&H. I found a bottle when I was doing a sales try. I was doing a tasting, and I walked into the store and I saw this bottle on the shelf. I just bought it. I didn't even try it. I thought like rum cask, and it's a single cask. Come on, there was one bottle left.
Yeah, but it's actually no problem to order from the Netherlands or from Belgium.
Yeah,
there's a thing called the EU. You remember?
Yeah, for you it is okay. It's not the same for us in the UK. I used to buy a lot from Dram Time in Netherlands before, but then after Brexit, you can't do that anymore.
No, it's just a hassle. I think both ways.
I can't even send samples to Europe. If I had to send some samples to Europe, it's not. They'll be sent back by DHL or the shipping company.
Really?
Yeah.
You just have to write something.
Just like this sample. I mean, I have sent some. I've tried sending. I use a word as beard oil.
Yes, exactly.
Now I'm sending a lot of beard oil to people in Europe.
Snow globes or suntan oil or anything like that. Olive oil, vinegar, anything goes. No, just no alcohol.
Ask Tom. It works.
Mm-hmm.
It actually does work, and I think the EU is giving a lot more problems than the other way around. Sending stuff from the EU to the UK is much easier than the other way around.
Most of the retailers have even stopped selling it to the UK. They don't ship it. Most of them, at least I know. I used to buy a lot. Dreamtime is a lovely shop in Europe, and they are based in Netherlands. And I used to buy a lot from them. Some of the whiskeys I'm a big fan of peated whiskeys, and some of the whiskeys that I picked up from Europe. Most of them.
Well, you can land there on your way from the UK to Berlin or to Hamburg. You will fly straight over them. But
but I'm back in Netherlands. I'm there for a week in Netherlands. I'm doing at the whiskey show in Rotterdam for a week, and then also in Den Haag,
which is not near Dramtime.
No, but I'm doing a tasting in Dramtime.
Oh dear.
I'm doing a tasting in Musselkanaal. Oh yeah, you don't want to go there.
I know exactly where it is. It's an hour and a half drive for me.
Yeah, you don't want to go there. And my colleague who works there is his name is Jock. Do you know Jock Shaw? So Jock works with Restaurant Teamer. So he's from Netherlands. If it is 1 hour on the roads, it will be 2 hours and a half with him driving.
And when will you be there?
It's somewhere around 17th or 18th in that week, October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't know if I can make it, and if there is place or whatsoever.
I think she'll be. Just maybe message Tom. Dreamtime. It'll be okay. It'll be good. It's a nice guy.
We'll see. Not promising anything.
What do you think? All good? The rum cask? Funky?
I think immediately I was just getting that, so you said it kind of made sense to Jamaican rum in particular influence. Like, there are a couple of rum cask whiskeys I've had, but there's not too many that have been specifically like Jamaican style rum, so you're not getting that kind of really estery style from it.
Yeah, it's not something which is very rummy, which I like. It's not like you try. It's also a higher ABV, by the way. It's 57% ABV. But when you work at a whiskey show, and you try different whiskeys, and at some point you just want to don't talk anything about whiskey seriously, and you want to just sit down and chill and have fun and have a joke, crack a joke with the boys. I think that is the whiskey you want in your hand. More funky, more fun, or play some music, or get on the dance floor. I don't know, but that is I always, for me, it's personally, I think you need a whiskey for every mood. So that is my take on it. It's not when I look at a shelf. I was there yesterday in a bar. It's been 4 days now. 3 days out in Glasgow, 3 nights out in Glasgow drinking in different bars. But when you look at the shelf, you should be in the mood, like what mood I am in. Am I in a mood to have a peated one or a port? I like a port, especially a port peated is even fantastic. Which is, again, the Kilkerran port is one which stands out this year for me. But then this other style of whiskeys, am I in the mood for that? So this is a mood which is like end of the evening, nice one. David, you had something to ask me towards the end, you said.
Yeah, the rest of Alan's questions, my phone died, and luckily I did just put it on charge.
There's only 20 though, isn't there, David?
No, he never goes more than 30, so it's
Shilton's mastermind, milk and honey distillery, specialist subject.
So we had what is the Dead Sea cask? Where's your whiskey stored? Does it put a limit on how long you can age it? You already discussed that.
Well, there is no limit, but if you do your math, if you lose 11% a year,
eventually you're only going to end up
200 liters. You will never have a if you cannot mature it for 20 years, and if you want to, if there is something left, I'm not sharing it, or Tomo is not even sending it to me.
The standard releases, Apex, Arts, Crafts, etc., how many ranges are there, and how many? And how are each depicted?
Okay, so the Apex, as I said, is a playground. They're all small batches. The Dead Sea is about 4,000 bottles. Pomegranate is something 1,500 number of bottles. So there will be the two which will be there always in the Apex range will be the Dead Sea and the Pomegranate. Looking at the success of these two, we will keep doing it. Of course, the batches, the recipe will be a bit different here and there, but we will do it. Then there are this stuff like the rum cask, the two which are just out, bottled and shipped across in Europe. Sorry, again, not in the UK. Are tequila cask that we have done in the Apex tequila, and Apex. There is one called as Alba cask, which are two cask. It's a wetting of two cask ex Lejeg. So we have got ex Lejeg cask, and we matured the whiskey for 3 years for us. That is out, and orange wine cask. Nothing to do with the oranges. Orange wine cask. So we have got orange wine cask being bottled and sent across. We are working on the rum cask. Should be ready sometime soon. The next thing. So the Apex is something we just try, see what's happened. When we put this cask together. Art and craft is something which is a yearly project, and then we have a single cask. Now, when I say single cask, we are doing a distillery exclusive single cask, as in picked by the distillery, not something as an independent bottler. So these are, you will see something which is a black bottle. It's completely black bottle. These are, when Tomer finds one of the best, it's like he picked up, hand-picked it. Trust me, if you come across a black bottle milk and honey, I can only tell you this. Look out for the Ruby Port wine cask. When I was at the distillery and I tried this cask, it is already shipped to Netherlands and Germany, already out on the way. When I tried it at the distillery, the first thing I said, "Can I buy this cask, please? The full cask?" And they said no to me. So like, no. Like, come on, please, I want to buy it right now. Like, no. So that's how much I loved it. These are the plans for the near future. The 4 will always be there, the core range.
All right, okay. And the long-term goals of Milk and Honey, is it to expand experimentation or develop a core range, like a particular core range, you said?
With the core range, we have 3 elements, 1 classic. We are thinking of getting another element, maybe an element pomegranate, like a 46% pomegranate cask in the core range. But that is still a thought process, still in the making, and we have not decided on it. Capacity wise, we do about 230,000 liters. We are working on expanding it, as in doubling the capacity. That is the plan.
And that's it. Said he might have some questions for you if we get off camera. Don't know what that means, but
no.
Thanks for your answers.
100%. I'm a different. Tom knows it very well. I'm like, stop it, Shilton.
I was going to say, actually, we will go off for a crap chat in a minute. So for those who know, it's the after party. I was just going to say, Shilton, actually, looking at the feedback in the chat tonight, everyone's picked different number ones and people have different seconds from tonight's tasting. So I would say, from my perspective, Milk and Honey is definitely ticking lots of boxes for lots of different people. There's probably something for everyone. So it's been a really good tasting tonight with a lot of variety, lots of different tastes and textures and things like that. So it's been really good. Don't know what others think, but for me, it's been a really interesting tasting with lots of facts and information that for whiskey geeks is really good to know. So did anyone have any final questions for Shilton before we go on to the crap chat?
I think Dave asked for everyone, really. They weren't your questions, were they? They were Alan's.
Yeah. Are you coming over to the crap chat, Shilton, or?
Sorry?
Are you coming over to the crap chat, or will you be leaving us?
No, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah.
We can just stay in here and
I'll turn the recording off.
Then we have the crap chat.
Oh,
Well,
right, okay.
While we're recording, I'll just say a big thank you to Shilton for his time tonight. It's been really good, and for a good selection of drams.
Thank you so much, guys. And my last words always be this: thank you for joining in, because for me personally, as I like a good drink, I like a good whiskey. For me, a dram is best shared in good company. You know, you can always pick up a most expensive dram and sit by yourself and not enjoy it. I mean, I can tell you this for sure. I've got so many bottles opened over here. I don't enjoy it much. That's why you'll see me at Bonaccord or Potstill, where I want to socialize and meet people and have a chat, have a laugh with people. So for me, it's people. So thank you so much for joining in, and it's like making my evening. So cheers.
Oh, one final question from me, because obviously we use Slanger in Scotland. Is there a Israeli version of cheers that we could use for milk and honey?
You can, and try to work on your throat. Right? I'm still working on it. I cannot get it right.
L'chaim.
L'chaim it is. So yeah, I'll do L'chaim. I'll stick with L'chaim, but it's L'chaim.
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 With a key J sound.
I think Scottish people can say it, right? So,
yeah, it is.
It's L'chaim.
L'chaim is like Scottish. Like if I talk to Kenny, for example, I sometimes think I'm talking like he talks Hebrew. I'm like, dude, hold on.
Well, on that perfect note, I'm going to stop the recording and shout out to Kenny if he ever watches this.